Good afternoon, Central Texas, and welcome to Congressman Carter and Congressman Brady's teleforum on coronavirus relief issues. This is Grady Bourne. I'm the Legislative Director for Congressman Carter, and I'll be glad to be your moderator and host for today's show. In a couple seconds, I'm going to kick it over to Congressman Carter and eventually Congressman Brady for some brief remarks. In the meantime, if you'd like to ask a question to the gentleman, press star 3 on your phone. Star 3 will get you online with one of our screeners here. We'll be glad to get you in the queue to hopefully chat directly with Congressman Carter or Congressman Brady. Looking forward to having a great discussion today. A couple things I would ask. Please keep your questions brief and to the point because we want to get through as many folks as we can. Star 3 on your phone. And without any further ado, I'm going to pass it over to Congressman Carter. On to you, boss.
Thank you, Grady. Good afternoon, everybody. This is Congressman John Carter, Congressman for the 31st Congressional District, Bell and Williamson County, and I want to welcome all of you for being here, and thank you so much for joining us on this telephone town hall. I know everybody's life is kind of drastically changed right now due to the coronavirus pandemic. You know, we're all practicing social distancing, and so I wanted to give you an update on Congress and what we've been doing about this response to the coronavirus issue. And the best way to do it was this telephone town hall. I've asked my good friend and colleague, Congressman Kevin Brady from the Houston area, to join us here. Sponsors of the bill that we just finished and the President just signed very recently. Kevin is one of probably the best leaders we got in Congress, and definitely the lead Texan. When we were doing all this, we would check with Brady every day, and we had a great conversation with all the members of our delegation through Kevin Brady because of his active participation in this bill. And he's the top Republican on the Ways and Means Committee, the former chairman of that committee back when we were in the committee. We've been very involved.
Okay, bear with us, folks. I think we got a little bit of transmission issue.
Brady. I've invited Congress Brady to help explain the nuts and bolts and what went on the inside as they were doing this business for the American people. So I'm going to kick it over to Kevin Brady. And Kevin, say hello to everybody and tell them a little bit about yourself.
Well, Judge Carter, thanks so much for having me join you today. You do such, you're not just a great friend, you're a great leader for Central Texas and really our country as well. Judge Carter is one of the top appropriators in the country, which allows him to make a huge difference, not just for the nation, but certainly for us here in Texas. We look to him on a number of these key issues as we rebuild our defense, as we secure our borders, as we look for the help we need for our growth here in Texas as well. So, Judge, thank you for having me. And also want to thank you for your work on this CARES bill, this number 3 coronavirus emergency bill, because the Appropriations Committee, you put together about $340 billion of real crucial help to our hospitals, our rural hospitals, to our states and local communities, as well as our schools, all of which across the country. But we know here in Texas, you know, they've spent a lot trying to react to this coronavirus. So first and foremost, thank you for your work on this big CARES bill, because the work you've done is going to make a big difference.
Well, thank you, Kevin.
Fantastic, folks. It's Grady again, your moderator. And just as a little bit of background, Congressman Carter is the ranking member, top Republican on the subcommittee that funds the Department of Veterans Affairs and our military construction efforts. And Mr. Brady is the former chair and current ranking member of the House Ways and Means Committee, which has this incredible jurisdiction over tax codes, Social Security, and all sorts of incredible stuff. So we've got some real expert guests here. We've got some great questions in the queue. Remember, *3 on your phone will get you in the mix to talk to our screeners. And I'm going to kick it right over to Henry, who is, I think, a neighbor of Mr. Carter, who's got a question about what do companies do that have only a single employee. And there's a lot of single employee companies out there. So, Henry, you are on with Congressman Carter and Congressman Brady.
Yes, that was my question. Congressman Carter was, what happens when we have a business where you're sole proprietorship and you're the only employee? You still got bills coming in. You've got to take care of them, or you're going to be in deep doo-doo. So I work in an essential, what I consider to be an essential industry in water and waste treatment, and just trying to keep on keeping on. And I was wondering if you had any insights you could offer as to what relief, if any, is going to be available to businesses like mine.
Kevin, you want to speak to that, or you want me to?
Yeah, that's kind of been our bailiwick. So me being an old Chamber of Commerce exec, worked with, like John, worked with a lot of our self-employed businesses, and you all do a critical work for us. But in this case, we have to take care of you. So we changed two things in this bill. One is, and John and I both worked on this one, like anyone else whose hours have been cut or you don't have work, we changed the law so you can apply for unemployment here in Texas. So self-employed, independent contractor, freelancer, Uber driver, folks who work principally for themselves, you can get unemployment to help ride this out yourself. Secondly, you are eligible for these new small business loans. They're called paycheck protection loans, and you can borrow money through your local bank to help you with cash flow to get you through this crisis. So you have, through your local banker, by the end of the week, I'm told, you'll have a chance to take out a fully guaranteed loan. You can use it for payroll, for rent, for utilities, for debt, mortgage, things like that. And the part, and here's the good thing. So the part of it that is used to keep workers on your payroll, in this case you, can be forgiven. And the reason that is because this whole third bill was about, helping people stay on the job, helping those, who don't have a job right now, and thirdly, helping businesses ride this out and get ready for the rebound, because you're really going to be the key to that. So for the self-employed, independent contractor, even furloughed workers, they're still tied to the company. They're just not working right now. They don't have hours. You can apply for unemployment right now. And I talked to Ed Cerna, who's up near John's place, handles the Texas Workforce Commission. You can apply for unemployment benefit. That'll help you. And we expanded it a little, made it a little bigger during this crisis for you. But also, if you've got a banker, federal credit union, somebody you work through, I would contact them now. Tell them you're interested in learning more about this SBA, they call it Paycheck Protection Loan. The details are coming out here tomorrow and the day after, and we're told they should be ready to go by end of the week. But you might want to check that option out, because it might allow you to ride this out, survive it, so that this thing's going to turn around. The economy's going to turn around, and we want you up and running when it does.
Let me make a comment real quick here, because back when I was a young lawyer here in Round Rock, I did a lot of work for Texas State Bank, and A lot of people stayed away from SBA loans because they took so long to process. One of the things we've done is put this in the hands of your bank. So you go to your bank or other financial institution where you do business, where they know you, and there won't be the long delay that normally is on SBA loans. That banker will make those decisions, and we've sped this up. And Kevin had a lot to do with that, to where it's not going to be the old wait 6 months for SBA. Yeah, it's going to be a current event, and that's a really big deal as far as getting the bureaucrats out of the way, and that's really good. I just want to let you know, because as a lawyer, most folks I talked to didn't want to do those things, but these things are current events. Go do it.
Good deal, folks. Hey, again, it's Grady, your moderator, *3 to get you on the call. Want to keep questions, lots of great questions so far. Want to keep them focused on the coronavirus relief issues going on, and I know there's a lot of folks with a lot of concerns. I'm going to patch it over to Donna, who's got a question about whether or not there are grants for women and issues about not being able to qualify for a loan depending on the size of her business. So, Donna, you are on with Congressman Carter and Congressman Brady.
Okay, hi, thank you. I wanted to thank y'all for all the hard work y'all are doing for everybody and everything y'all are doing for everybody. It's just fantastic, really. Because I'm just like a micro business, and I'm gonna tell you the truth, I don't really qualify for the Small Business Administration loans, and I don't know, is there any maybe grants or something, just something to help us, the micro businesses, and because we've really just gotten wiped out completely, and it's just so upsetting.
Kevin, you want to comment?
Yeah, Donna, this is tough, especially when you're working really hard and worked hard for years. And when you're a micro business, look, every hour counts and every customer counts, and so does every dollar. So I would just, one, you ought to apply. If you need some cash right now, you ought to apply for unemployment. It was expanded to help specifically you. And secondly, I wouldn't rule out these SBA-backed loans just yet, because we made changes in this crisis. Judge Carter's right. In the past, it was hard to get. It took forever. You had to have a lot of credit yourself, and there were a lot of strings attached. In these new loans, they're for small businesses. They're for sole proprietors like you, independent contractors, freelancers, nonprofit organizations, veterans groups, tribal small businesses, companies with 500 or fewer workers, and even, there's probably some folks on here who have restaurants or businesses tied to hospitality. They waived a lot of the rules so that even if you're a part of a big franchise or whatever, they waived what they call affiliation rules so that you can get that help as well. So, Donna, you hang in there, for one thing. We need you around. Two, try the SBA loan approach again. You might find the rules fit you this time. And I don't know who you do your banking with, or credit union, or whoever you have, but I would reach out to them and just say, hey, here's my circumstances. Am I eligible for this, and how does it work? And I also know both Judge Carter and I have got, at our website, on the Ways and Means Committee Republican website, even the U.S. Chamber of Commerce has a really good guide. It's about 4 pages long. It kind of explains how these loans work in what you need to take to your banker. I would check those out because I would be surprised if they don't give you a bit of a hand in this. Okay?
Yeah, and don't think just because you have tried in the past that as I told you, they've cut through a lot of the red tape in this process, which I think is what makes these things really a golden opportunity for people. Because I know people have been discouraged with dealing with SBA in the past because of the red tape. They've cut through a lot of that, and if you don't ask, the answer is no. So please go to the
It's great advice.
And give it a try. Because like Kevin said, they've widened the categories and shortened the red tape.
No doubt, no doubt. Stay in the fight and don't give up. That's all you can do. So, no, lots of great questions. Got a question here that I know a lot of folks are concerned about is the kind of short and long-term future of food stamps and Social Security reductions or any of that kind of stuff. And I'm going to kick it over to Bess, who's got some questions about those areas. Bess, you are on with Congressman Carter and Congressman Brady.
Oh, hello. Yes, they've cut back on my food stamps. When I applied for those in 2013, I got enough of everything. I get $750 a month. I have since then, and then I get $120 in food stamps since then. It has not gone up. And, groceries have gone up, gasoline. I mean, everything has doubled or tripled. And it's where I can't even make it now. And I know the state of Texas has tons of money, and there's no reason that shouldn't be dealt with. And then just one thing, since this is, I didn't know it was concerning the COVID-19, but I think that the governor ought to make it mandatory that everybody wears a mask, when they go out, because we never know who has the virus. It's just, you can't stand 6 feet from people when you're in a grocery store. You just pass them in the aisles and who knows what. So I wish that the governor would do that, and that's mainly all I, can say. And I appreciate you guys. You've done a great job. I hope you keep doing a good job. But one field you have neglected is the welfare type people, and we need it more than you can believe. So I would appreciate it if something's done about that. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. I believe we did have some expansion in food stamps. Isn't that right, Kevin?
Yes, sir. Yep. In these two bills, for the very reason Beth laid out, that we're going to have more folks that need help right now in unemployment. Some are going to lose their job maybe for the longer term. Food stamp and nutrition. We got kids at home because school's not in, so we put extra money toward all those food items. And I know too, Judge, you worked really hard.
Bill is where we did it. Yeah.
So
I know that for some reason there's something out on the internet. This is not the first time people have come to me and said, "I've heard you're cutting food stamps."
Yeah.
There's nothing to that. In fact, we've increased food stamps, and that's a first rung item every time discussion comes up. So no, there's no planned cuts on food stamps that I'm aware of, and I would be aware of them if there were. Tom Cole, who does that for our Appropriations Committee, keeps us well informed. There'll be increases in food stamps, and hopefully it'll be enough that our friend that asked the question will see some relief.
All right, folks. Hey, it's Grady again, your moderator for this afternoon's Teletown Hall with Congressman John Carter and Congressman Kevin Brady. Remember, *3 on your phone will get you in line to ask a question of our call screeners. And while I got the floor here for a second, I do want to give a shout-out to Congressman Carter's website, which is carter.house.gov, all open 24/7 and ready to address all your concerns. And Kevin Brady's got a similar website, kevinbrady.house.gov, and both have got great resources on coronavirus, COVID-19, other constituent service issues. And again, those are open 24/7, ready to serve. *3 gets you in the line to ask a question. Lots, just an amazing number of questions happening right now. A question that I know, as we are obviously spending a lot of taxpayer dollars, and Richard has got a question of how are we going to repay this once all is said and done. So, Richard, you are on with Congressman Carter and Congressman Brady.
Yes, Congressman, I am very supportive of helping. Something has to be done because nobody got laid off on their own accord. It was all government, initiated for our good. But this is an enormous bill. It's an enormous expenditure, and my question is there thought been how are we going to repay this debt, and will we ever get to a balanced budget?
You're asking the question that most of us who view the world from conservative eyes are asking. Kevin is the guy in the tax wars with us. Kevin, that's a tough question.
Yeah, it is. And Richard, it's the question that keeps John and I and other conservatives up at night. Look, the same reason we're responding here is the same reason we did tax reform, which is, if you got an economy growing at less than 2%, paychecks not going up, jobs going overseas, not many good jobs for kids coming out of school, you're going to keep running big debts. You got an economy that's growing like ours. Up to this point, we have the strongest economy on the planet. You were sending us the highest amount of revenue in American history, the highest amount of revenue because the economy was revved up. We know we had to put, $2.2 trillion is a ton, but it's what we got to do to keep people alive and get them through this, and especially keep our small businesses, which we do that in our distressed industries. We're going to rebound. I think I'll just tell you this. I think we rebound by late summer, early fall, back to where we were. So this investment's going to save us a lot of money over the long term. Still, we got to find a way to pay for it. I'm probably like John. I pray for a balanced budget amendment because I think, just like in Texas, we need one desperately at the federal level. In the meantime, when this is done, and I know some people up in D.C. want to go on another spending spree, which I don't think we ought to. We're going to have a path to get back to pay off, not just balance the budget. We got to start paying down the debt as well, and it's going to take both parties to do it. John, what do you think?
Yeah, and I agree with Kevin. I think that if you've got a booming economy, you've got booming revenue, and putting the money in the people's hands, which is what Kevin did and the Ways and Means Committee did when they did the tax cuts, puts money in the American people's hand, that more revenues flow to the government, and it ultimately, a thriving America will allow us to fight off this number, trillion, which is almost an inconceivable number. You're just hard to think about what $1 trillion really is. But what I like about the things we're doing now is we're just trying to get people back in the jobs that, for no fault out of their own, they had to go home and stay in the house because of this evil virus. But it's the right thing to do, as hard as it is. And I heard a guy this morning on the television say, they asked him what he thought would happen when this is all over. He said if Mr. Trump would do the same policies that he's done for the last 3 years, going strong. If we look at business like business, we set up funding that is basically making jobs work and independent small businessmen back in business and making a good living, we will be able to handle this horrendous debt better It's always better to have growth than stagnation, and that's what I believe in.
Good deal. And speaking of growth, a key part of growth is the nonprofit sector, everything from the food banks to everything that's going on there, and there's definitely concerns about what's going to happen to them. So Jennifer has got some questions along those lines. And Jennifer, you are on with Congressman Carter and Congressman Brady.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having this call, Congressman Carter and Brady. I know that my family supports you very much, Congressman Carter, and you also support our nonprofit. My question is, what are we doing to make sure that those nonprofits can see through this? Because I know that they're going to be hardest hit 4 or 5 months from now when people are trying to get back on their feet and can't give the money that they always have. So is there anything in the works that you guys have thought about?
Yes, there is. And Kevin will first talk about some of the exchanges. But remember, these loans that we're talking about, these loans, certain nonprofits can qualify for those SBA loans too. I don't know if you heard him say that. Kevin?
Yeah, yes, sir. So Judge Carter and I both know how important nonprofits are in our community, and we also know, they've all the events, all the fundraisers, all that stuff has just come to a screeching halt. So in the tax changes, we're going to give everyone a charitable deduction, whether they itemize or not. Most people don't these days. We're going to give them help, so if they give money to local charities, they can take it right off the top of their taxes. And we're going to make it easier for businesses to give even more to you during this crisis. That's one thing. The judge is right. We're expanding unemployment and those small business loans to 501c3 nonprofit organizations. That's where most of you fall, not all, but most of you fall in that category. We're also making sure that your employees, to try to keep them around, they're going to qualify for employment as well. And then finally, in the money that Judge Carter got in this last bill for our hospitals and healthcare providers, that $100 billion, when it gets divvied up and comes down to the states, it is available for nonprofits that are in the healthcare field and are helping us, through this crisis. So we've got a few things going on. We think we can help you. My thought is, if you're not a 501c3 or you've got another idea on how to help, would you let us know? Because you're important to us.
Yeah, no
That's
doubt.
Exactly right. I agree with that.
No doubt. Incredible work being done by nonprofits across the nation and in Texas for sure. Joey's got a question that I know is on the front burner for a lot of small businesses. Is small businesses are hurting with the coronavirus. Is there going to be enough money to support them? And then kind of what's the long-term plan for that? So, Joey, you are on with Congressman Carter and Congressman Brady.
Hi, gentlemen. I just want to say thank you for everything you've been doing over the last few weeks. I've been praying for y'all. I know this is a challenging time, and you guys are leading our country well. And so my question is really two things. The first is there going to be enough money? I know $350 billion is a lot of money, but this country is run by small businesses. And the second part of the question is the forgiveness limited? What's the extent of the forgiveness limitation other than retaining employees? Are there other elements that put a cap on how much of the loan could be forgiven? Thank y'all. I'll listen.
Yeah, Joey, that's a great question. Judge, let me tackle that on the SBA stuff. So the loans are designed for you. I think you can get it up to 250% of your payroll. You can use it up to $10 million. You can use it for, a wide range of things, not just payroll, healthcare, rent, utilities, debt service, things like that. But the part of the loan that is forgivable is tied to your workers, and it's sort of proportional. If you can keep, all your workers on board over the next couple of months, you forgive all of that payroll cost. If it's most of it, you can get most of that payroll cost forgiven, but it is, the forgivable part is tied to that. If you borrowed some more to make it through on rent or, leasing of equipment or whatever you got going in your business, that part you have to pay back. But I think, if I recall, it's a very low interest rate. I think it's deferred between 6 months and a year before you have to start paying on it. And so they tried to make it, we know a lot of small businesses can't afford more debt, but they can afford some if they have plenty of time to pay it off and the time to get back up on their feet. So that's how those small business loans work. Also, I want to tell you, I don't know what kind of business, Joey, you're in, but we also are deferring all your business payroll taxes for the rest of the year. So you don't send them to D.C. Keep them in your bank account for the rest of the year. Again, cash flow to help you survive through this. And you have almost 2 years to sort of pay that back over time. So that shouldn't be a burden later on. Also, I don't know what kind of business you're in, but we also, in this bill, changed it so that if you're taking a bunch of losses right now, you can actually carry those losses backwards against your years that have been more profitable. And you can actually refile your taxes and get tax help right now in the form of money to help you survive. So, we don't know which options work best for you. We just wanted to provide a whole bunch of options to help carry you through this. I also didn't mention Ways and Means Republicans and our leader, Kevin McCarthy, put in place a worker retention credit where, this is another option. If your business has been shut down or partially shut down because of a government order, or you've lost half your revenue, which a lot of businesses have, you can actually get help to pay your workers. You can get a refundable tax credit. It works like this. You pay, let's say a worker's you're gonna pay them $10,000 over the next 2 months, excuse me. You pay half of that, we'll pay the other half, up to $10,000. That's just another option to help you get through this. Again, it'll vary by business, but Joe, we wanted to make sure we had no two businesses are alike, and we want you to have as many choices as you can. Figure your way through this. And if you need any help, Judge Carter and I, our offices, our Texas offices, DC offices, we're here to help you.
That's exactly right. And everybody, let's keep reminding them, we've got offices here, and I've got some of the best people on earth that do my casework, and they know which phone calls to make and who to call to get past the red tape and get past the bureaucrats and get the solutions to your problem. So as you look at all this, as you can tell by what Kevin Brady just explained to you, they intentionally structured this about small business, him back on his feet, get him and her back on their business to where they're back to profitable as they were when all started. And I think they've done a heck of a job. Ways and Means Committee's done a heck of a job in thinking and giving you options. We're here to help. Call the office.
Well, that provides a great segue to give a little more information on how you can do just that. The Ways and Means website, GOP-waysandmeans.house.gov. Of course, Kevin Brady's office website, kevinbrady.house.gov. And, of course, Congressman Carter is a member of the Appropriations Committee. That website is republicans-appropriations.house.gov. And then his website is carter.house.gov. And let me give you a couple phone numbers for folks in Central Texas, Bell and Williamson County that Congressman Carter is so proud to represent. If you got a casework concern, Feel free to call our Round Rock office, 512-246-1600. Our Temple office is 254-933-1392. Or you can call our DC office where I'm at, 202-225-3864. But the big number right now is *3 to get you in line to ask the questions of the gentleman here today. And again, just tremendous questions. We always have great questions on these, but I think really it's a whole nother level with obviously what's going on right now. And a question that I know is a huge issue for folks across Texas, parents and students, is what can be done about student loans? How is this going to impact students? And I'm going to patch it over to Pat with a question about that. Actually, I'm going to have trouble getting her online, but actually, hang tight. We're going to patch it over to Ruth first. Pat, stay on hold. Ruth's got a question about how ride sharing and other small business folks might be impacted by this. Ruth, you're on with the Congressman.
Yes, I was trying to find out. I was trying to get you to elaborate on the loan process for people who do Uber Lyft.
Kevin, you mentioned Uber. Have we lost Kevin?
No, here I am, John. Yeah, great question. So it's unemployment's been expanded, so you get help some right now. If your ride's been cut, your revenue's been cut, but you're eligible for these paycheck protection loans. So I'd recommend, if you want to come to our website or John's and look at the what you'll need for documentation to take to the local banker, and go to your local banker. It isn't a whole lot of documentation, just what your revenues have been and things like that. Pretty basic stuff. But if you got someone bank account somewhere, even if you don't have maybe a lender yourself, go to where you have your bank account, and they're going to be. I understand that even banks that weren't SBA authorized lenders are going to be for this loan program, and you do, as the Uber Lyft, as a part of what they call the gig economy, self-employed independent worker, you're eligible for all this help.
That's the answer to your question, and I think it's clear they thought about you when they were putting this together at Ways and Means. So good luck, and go to your local banker. They go to the people that know you, and I think I hope and pray that you'll be happy and be able to get back on your feet.
Good deal. No, great issue, and a lot of folks are in that gig economy and got to be there for them in this time of need. And I mentioned Pat earlier. I hope she's still on the line with a big question about student loans, which I know is such a huge priority across the nation. So, Pat, you are on with Congressman Carter and Congressman Brady.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Congressman Carter and Brady, for what you do for our state. My question today is for my granddaughter who is in college at Southwest. She has student loans. We're wondering about that. Will she have any forgiveness on some of those? Also, would she qualify for food stamps since she lost her part-time job 3 weeks ago? Thank you.
Kevin, you want to talk about food stamps?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, student loans.
Okay, go ahead, Judge.
Well, first off, there's a lot of campaigning about forgiving student loans. It's my understanding on student loans, and maybe Kevin's got a better understanding than I do, that they got some deferral going right now. Isn't that right, Kevin?
Yeah, that's exactly right. In fact, I was looking up the details as so right now President Trump is deferring loan payments and interest on federally held student loans. They'll be suspended for at least 60 days, if not a little longer. They want you to keep your student to keep her money right now to help her ride this out. Yes, she is available for help. I assume food stamps, certainly unemployment. We got a lot of help out there especially for young people, to help them through this. I don't believe there'll be a forgiveness of student debt because right now the whole focus is on this coronavirus, both locking the virus down and then helping workers and businesses survive, ride this out so that we can rebound. I think that's probably where the focus is going to stay.
Yeah, and let me say this so you can, talking about your granddaughter, Kevin gave you good advice. You should go to all those, look at unemployment, and look for help. And the deferral is 60 days right now. But, we're all sitting here at the mercy of an unknown virus. A virus, we know what it is, but we don't know it's going to be with us. We don't know whether it's going to act like the flu and die out in the summertime or whether it's not. I'm pretty convinced that Trump will extend that if we are all back and are stuck in our homes for another couple of months, and I hope we're not, because I think the quicker we can get out, get this economy back, the better off we will be. But we're dealing with the unknown as far as how this is going to perform and whether the things we are hopeful about are going to work. And all that is going to mean that as we in the government look at these help things we've got, if we need more, we're going to do more. The one thing I hope that we don't do in Congress is pork these bills up, but things don't have anything to do with our crisis. This student loan, this small business loan, is a great tool, and I'm really proud of what the Congress has done on that. If we don't have enough money to see it through, depending on what comes in the future, I'm sure we'll revisit these things. But when we revisit, I hope everybody that deals with it will quit putting stuff in there that doesn't belong. That's my world.
Folks, again, Grady, your moderator, *3 will get you in the line to speak to our screeners to hopefully get you online with Mr. Carter and Mr. Brady. Got an interesting question from Lynette. How much of the aid that's out there right now are loans? How much are grants? What's going to be paid back? What's the timeline for receiving funds? So, Lynette, you are on with Congressman Carter and Congressman Brady.
Yes, sir. Thank you guys for being on today.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Okay. Yes. So I went through the process yesterday on the SBA site. It changed from Sunday. I had printed off forms and was doing my best to get everything ready. And then when I went in on yesterday, everything had changed, but it was actually much easier. So that was good news. But what is the time frame for these funds to be distributed out? And again, how much of it percentage-wise will be a loan? How much of it's grant, or will we know?
Yeah. So great question. Judge, you mind if I jump into this one?
Please do.
So there's a couple different small business loans to apply for early on after the president declared the disaster declaration and the governor asked for it. They created these economically distressed loans. That was sort of the first rush of loans that were available for small businesses. These new loans are different. These paycheck protection loans are designed differently, and they're really designed to help you keep your workers on board, and to the extent you need it, pay other expenses, health care, paid leave, whatever it is you got, utilities. And in those bills, those paycheck protection loans, the forgivable part are the dollars you spend to keep workers on board over the next several months. That's forgivable. The rest you pay back, but it's on pretty low interest rates and pretty lengthy period. The other parts of the help, if I look at the whole bill, you asked a great question. So if you look at the individual tax rebate of $1,200 per person to anyone who's got a valid Social Security number, those aren't taxable. You just keep them. You look at unemployment, not taxable, you keep it. The business cash flow, again, you just keep it. The money for that John Carter worked so hard on for hospitals, schools, and communities, again, those groups just keep them. The two elements that are paid back are all those major industries like airlines and national defense, the Boeings of the world, and the large hotel chains, all those who just, they're well run. This wasn't their fault. They just need some cash to ride this out. Those loans will have to be paid for in full, repaid in full with an interest rate. And if they don't, they're going to take a piece of the business as part of the loan. So for those larger industries, they're going to have to pay back every dime or give up part of their business. For the small business ones, as I said, you'll have to pay back the dollars you use for operating expenses generally, but you won't for the dollars you use to keep your workers on board. Is that fairly clear?
I think that's very clear. Good job.
There's a formula.
Again, folks, it's Grady, your moderator. Star 3 will get you in line to chat with Congressman Carter and Congressman Brady on coronavirus relief efforts happening in Congress and across the nation. Sherry's got a question that I know is a real question that folks across Texas are worried about at the kitchen table is price gouging on essential items in this kind of time of need. So, Sherry, I want to patch you over to Congressman Carter and Congressman Brady.
Hi. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. The reason I was calling and kind of inputting is that the whole situation where I live in Bell County and near Fort Hood, and we have a house quarantine that's already been determined by the area. However, I work at a pharmacy, so I see people coming in all the time that really have no need to be there. I also work right across from the Walmart where the parking lot is full today. Is there anything that can be done to enforce this so that people take it more seriously and stay home, that they have some kind of consequence for not doing this?
Well, that's a tough question. Voluntarily locked down is what we are hoping, and I'll have to say Americans are generally responding well on it. But when you look over at the Walmart parking lot and it's full, then you have to say to yourself, a whole bunch of people are over there shopping. And as you and I both know, at least in our two counties, our grocery stores have had big runs on them. A lot of empty shelves. A lot of people are worried about that. And there's some younger people who think, I don't have to worry about this coronavirus. The people that have to worry is the old people. They need to pay attention to what's being reported on television. There are younger people that are getting this disease, and they're not making it. Yes, it's true. The older you are, the more issues you have, other health issues you are, the more at risk you are. And that's the absolute truth. But the real world is everybody ought to be thinking about everybody else, and they ought to be staying home. But then again, we don't want a health police out pounding on people's doors. That just goes contrary to the American way. I understand what you're talking about, and I'm sure a lot of people feel the way you do. But then again, I don't think it's a good idea for us to go out and do something like arrest people for being out there. We just got to impress upon people that this is our country, and if it's good, if you do it right, we'll be better off. If you do it wrong, and for a while that's what Italy was doing, you can see the horrible consequences result from not paying attention. We've got to be serious about this as a people, and but I don't think we ought to have a health police. That I draw the line there. Kevin, you want to comment?
No, I think you said it exactly right. Look, President Trump and Governor Abbott here in Texas, they both issued orders against hoarding, and on social distancing. And I think more people do it than don't. That's the good news. And I think it's getting better as supplies, as people realize, some of the stores are getting restocked. We're going to be okay. But I'm with the judge here. I'm not big on using police. And the good news is none of the National Guard or the State Guard are being used for that. All they're doing is helping, like deliver supplies to the hospitals, help put up those medical tents, help arrange those. We got like 22 shipments of supplies, medical supplies coming in from around the world to the U.S. They're helping us, arrange that and unload and get it to the local hospitals. So I'm with the judge on this one.
No doubt.
If you're working in a store, let me say one more thing. If you're working in a pharmacy where there's way too many people in there to suit you, you ought to talk to your management about wearing masks, cleanliness, wiping up. If they're putting you in a situation where you're uncomfortable, that people are getting too close, back them off. I mean, I think that's what responsible people do in this day and age. And tell your boss, I'm not going to sit there at my counter with 5 people right there in my face. I'm going to back them off. And if this is going to be a problem with the firm here, we need to work this issue out. Because if they're not doing the right thing, then somebody's got to remind them to do it. I understand that would be nervous too.
Judge, you are so right. Plus, a lot of businesses, even pharmacies, they're restricting how many folks can come in at a time, which always seems to be fair to do because that protects both the patients or the customers and the workers. So, Judge, I think you're right. You ought to speak out about this because that it just protects you and those customers.
Well, no doubt, folks, we're all in this together. Got one more great question from Jim. And how long is this federal assistance going to last, and when do we get back to normal? So, Jim, you're on with Congressman Carter and Congressman Brady.
Well, I'm not really interested in a timeline per se. I just know that I've heard some rumors and seen some talk online that the certain folks within the government process and planning process are not setting any limits, that when the crisis is over, they're going to continue to try to push for greater government control. And therefore, that kind of takes away from our need to actually deal with the crisis itself if we have to fear that the government is going to intrude in a greater way. And I was wondering if you all are paying attention to that and trying to make sure that the crisis itself and the reparations that are being made are under a decent control time-wise. I know that some things can last a while, but what about keeping the government out of our business in the long run beyond the crisis?
So that's a great question, and I will tell you, knowing my colleague and knowing myself, we are both folks that want the government to get out of our business, not get in our business. And we operate when we go into conference and with our colleagues on saying we want less government and more success for the American people. There's always people that want the government to have more control. But there's those of us that think that's why we're in Congress, to get the government as out of our business doing what the government should do, but not what the government shouldn't do. And I, for one, am worried about any new government control anywhere that they don't belong. And that'll be my battle from now forever. The more the government stays out of our business and let the American worker and the American entrepreneur move forward, the better country we have. And that's the world I believe in. Kev?
Amen, Judge. Look, I think this gentleman is right on target. Some people will use this as an excuse to grow government and interfere in our lives more. We can't allow that to happen. In this, in all three of these bills that Congress came together on with President Trump, they all have sunset dates. In other words, this program, especially this last $2.2 trillion one, we all, as conservatives, ran through that bill looking at those dates to make sure they either end at the end of this year, or if you got to do repayment of loans or whatever, they last till you can repay these things back. But bottom line is, we're not growing government bigger because this crisis. We're going to temporarily help people, both with this healthcare crisis and this economic crisis. But we're getting back to work. This country is going to rebound. You know, we're going to rely on our neighbors, our free enterprise system, on our own innovation and hard work. So I'm with the judge on this one. This is temporary. And, yeah, we're going to keep, like you, guard against people who want to use this as an excuse to just make Washington bigger.
Too big already.
Too big already, indeed. Hey, folks, this is Grady, your moderator. Just a reminder, Kevin Brady's website, kevinbrady.house.gov. John Carter's website, carter.house.gov. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for questions today. This has been a tremendous amount of great questions. I'm going to pass it over to Mr. Brady for some remarks, and then he'll pass it over to Congressman Carter for some closing remarks. So on to you, Mr. Brady.
Well, one, thank you very much for having me. You've got these are great questions from your constituents and small business people, Judge. Thanks for having me. More importantly, Judge, thanks for what you do. You're who I go to on all these appropriations things about whether it's health care or defense or rebuilding the military or securing the border or any of these issues. You're just a go-to for me. And Judge, thank you for all you do for Central Texas in our country as well. And thank you for having me. Thanks for having me.
Well, let me say this. Kevin, I'm so honored to have Kevin Brady do this for me. You know, he's over in his district. He's got all these same issues there, and if he needs my help, I'll help him. The nice thing about the Texas delegation is we work as a team, and it's really heartening, and you feel good when you can ask a friend to come help you who's got expertise that quite honestly is beyond anybody else I know in the area of ways and means. He's one of the most knowledgeable people in the world about that. And he was so gracious to accept my invitation to talk to the folks here, because you want to hear from the guy that wrote it, the guy that knows how to do it. And I'm just very rewarded to have Kevin help me with this. And by the way, I want to thank everybody for joining us today. We're going to do many of these. We're going to try to get other experts in here to talk as we move forward this week. It's the only way. I'm just as housebound as everybody else. I'm following the rules, but we're working with our computers and with our telephones because this is an important time in our lives. Thank you, everybody that are being housebound and taking care of your families, keeping this whole country safe by doing so. I know that you're home and it gets tedious and you worry about your jobs, and that's why we put this legislation together to show you there's light at the end of the tunnel and help on the way. And so on the way to the light, let's all keep our American spirit up and be proud that we know that there's nothing we can't whip if we put our mind to it. We can win victory if we fight like Americans, and that's what we're going to do. So I want to thank you for doing this. I want to remind everybody of the social distancing. Let's keep our neighbors healthy. Let's keep our friends healthy, and let's keep strangers healthy. We keep our families healthy, and we get rid of this stupid virus as quickly as we can. Thank everybody for participating in this. Thanks for the great questions. I hope those who listened in got information too. And reach out. We're trying to help. God bless each and every one of you. Thank you, Kevin Brady. You're a friend.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Judge.
Okay, folks, we're signing off. Thank you.